CNN President Jeff Zucker said this week that journalism is threatened by officials at the top of our own government. Joining us now is Joe Concha, media reporter for The Hill. So Zucker said this at an award, accepting an award. Is the Trump White House threatening journalism?
I heard this a lot last night, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The First Amendment is under attack. Here's what I'll say to that. Press briefings with Sean Spicer have never been more democratic. There are more voices in there than ever before in terms of reporters, in terms of Skype. Journalists are still on Air Force One. Also, Trump is doing an enormous amount of interviews. Not to mention, he's tweeted 98 out of 100 times during his first 100 days in office. That's right. 98 days out of 100. But this week alone, Howie, Trump has done interviews with the Washington Post, New York Post, Washington Examiner, New York Post, CBS News, Reuters, Associated Press, Wall Street Journal, Fox News. So does that sound like the First Amendment is under attack? Just because you criticize reporters doesn't mean you're attacking the First Amendment. Actually, it's the opposite, because he's exercising his right to free speech.
He has the right as well. And I would just note that the Obama administration prosecuted or dragged reporters into the prosecutorial process in these leak investigations, and that was threatening journalism.
Spied on James Rosen,
exactly.
Secretly seized AP phone records, rejected a record amount of FOIA requests. Those are actions, not words. That's more important. That's more of a threat to the press.
Just to remind people. All right, so the president tweeted this about an FBN anchor. Lou Dobbs just stated that President Trump's successes are unmatched in recent presidential history. Thank you, Lou. At the same time, he's really been going after the other two cable news networks. Take a look at last night's rally.
Media outlets like CNN and MSNBC are fake news. Fake news.
So he likes Fox. He doesn't like the other two. Does this have an impact on the networks themselves?
In terms of their ratings, CNN, MSNBC,
in terms of their coverage, in terms of their attitudes towards the president, if you're getting beat up on all the time, does that get in your head?
I think that it probably does if he's mentioning them. He only went after CNN normally. MSNBC got a rare mention. I interviewed Phil Griffin about 2 months ago, and he said, you can mention us once in a while, it'll probably be good for us.
So the president of MSNBC wants to be included in the attacks, so he gets some street cred?
Yeah, that's what he said. But I love what Trump did last night in terms of that rally, because those networks, CNN and MSNBC, were forced to do this split screen. On one side, there's Trump with the people, blue collar, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. On the other, there's people like me and you in tuxedos at the Washington Correspondents' Dinner at a glitzy event. That was a visual that will not get out of some people's heads.
My annual tuxedo event. All right, ESPN, you're a former sports writer, laying off 100 people, including on-air talent. The subscription base is dropping as much as $60,000 a month. How did it turn into such a mess?
I looked to Bob Lee, who has been with ESPN since 1979, a great investigative reporter, one of the few objective ones we have left. He said, and I quote, "There is no diversity of thought at ESPN." The public editor there says, internally, there's a feeling among many staffers, both liberal and conservative, that the company perceived move leftward, has had a stifling effect on discourse inside the company as affected its public-facing product. It's become political, that's one thing, and another thing is, I could get scores and highlights right on my phone in about 8 seconds. I don't have to watch SportsCenter in front of a TV anymore. That affects Disney stock. You got to start laying off people when the profits aren't coming in.
Those are all key factors, and you fit it in very nicely. Joe Concha, nice to see you in person.
Good to see you.